on to other key rulings which have come during this period. I'll start with the ruling on refund. So in this particular case, before the AP High Court, refund was filed after the statutory time period, and the SSC relied upon the Supreme Court order that it should be extended, the period of limitation should be excluded, and this should apply on refund claims also. The High Court accepted and said yes, the Supreme Court order, because it is overriding on all other laws, it would be applicable, and it would be applicable on refund proceedings also, and therefore refund was allowed. Another very interesting, very important case of Gujarat High Court is in fintech, and this is specifically relevant for any person who is claiming refund on by virtue of deemed exports, advance authorization, or even merchant exports. What the court acknowledged in this case is, if you just for a briefing, if you are claiming refund of input stage, if you are not claiming any input stage benefit like advance authorization, etc., there is a provision rule 89.4. And if you are claiming these benefits, then there is a provision 89.4a and 4b. What the court noted is that while 89.4 provides a formula, the formula is missing in other two provisions. And it only says that whatever inputs are used in export, you claim refund of that. The court noted, yes, because there is separate provision, you cannot use the formula under 89.4. But because specific formula is not prescribed, use any logical basis. So in this case, they said input-output ratio for inputs would be a valid criteria to determine the value of what inputs have gone to export products. And how this ruling is relevant is because there may be similar cases, or I'll say, depending upon case to case, the taxpayer may need to dwell down, dig deep on how to compute this refund. So any advance authorization holder or similar exporters who are claiming the refund under input stage need to make sure that the refund claim is as per Rule 89.4a 4b, because again, the portal does not provide this restriction or this option. The portal only has the formula which is under 89.4. So it is upon taxpayer to reduce that refund amount and claim a lesser refund basis these formulas. Moving forward, the next High Court ruling I'd like to discuss is upon whether hostels qualify as residential dwelling. And why this is relevant is that under service tax as well as under GST, there's an exemption from tax on services provided which are used as residential dwelling. Renting of residential dwellings basically is exempted. So the question was, because hostels, they are commercial activity in nature, whether they qualify as residential dwellings or not. And what the court noted is they went into the meaning of the term residential dwelling, which is used for residence over a period of time. And they recognize that hostels are not someone where you go for residence overnight. It's not a shorter period of stay. Usually hostels provide a longer period of stay, even though for students, let us say other people, etc., but it's relatively for a longer period. Basis that they held that yes, exemption would be available to them for residential dwelling. Another very important and interesting ruling comes in the form of Tata Autocom versus State of Maharashtra. And the issue is novel because in Maharashtra, Gujarat, there is a demand or there is a levy of stamp duty which is coming through circular when you are filing a bill of entry. And this, of course, becomes a cost for the SSC. There's no credit mechanism available for that. For this, when the Tata company approached the High Court, they stayed the levy of the stamp duty. They relied on the Gujarat High Court judgment in the case of Reliance Industries and said, which had passed the levy. And they noted that when against Gujarat High Court, the state of Gujarat went to Supreme Court, they have admitted the appeal but did not grant stay. So in this case, they have granted a stay that no stamp duty needs to be paid in this case. But yes, this forms a very important and an interesting issue for wherever stamp duty is being chargeable or is being paid on imported goods. Now, another ruling, this ruling is of Supreme Court of Service Tax Law. So we will be discussing that. A very important ruling which distinguishes between the meaning or scope of job work and manpower recruitment supply. So in this case, assessee was basically arguing that he is providing a job work service and therefore he is exempt. So serial number 30 of the exemption notification exempted that. The court noted the tribunal also was against that it is not a job work, it is a manpower supply. The Supreme Court also noted that if you see the contract terms, it does not prescribe or it does not have the essence of job work. It is artificially designed or attempt is made to artificially cover it under job work. But if you see the responsibility of job work undertaking the services, his responsibility vis-a-vis quality, quantity, etc., that is not there. So they held it is nothing but that of a supply of labor and therefore not exempt under service tax. Now moving forth to advanced rulings which have come in this time in recent months. A very interesting, important and a different ruling which has come is of Golden Toby, wherein the SSC was supplying 30 free products along with 100 products. So he was a cigarette manufacturer dealer. He was supplying 30 cigarettes along with 100 cigarettes. So the question was whether this is a free supply or not. So the AAR, it relied upon circulars that had come and it noted that buy one get one is not an individual supply and free supply. It is in fact multiple supplies being made for a single price. Now this is something which the circulars also said, and of course nothing new in that respect. But the next point is important. It said that the taxability would depend upon the composite supply or mixed supply concept. And in this context, because the same product was given, it said no additional tax liability will be there. So two important points which come out of this advance ruling is point number one, when the same goods are given as free, it would not make a difference because of course there would be a composite supply or single supply or a reduced price. But a discussion or a distinction would come and these concepts of composite supply and mixed supply would hold relevance when two separate items are being supplied. So let us say along with a fridge, you are supplying a TV. Two separate items, one you would need to see how would you categorize that. Secondly, towards the later part of the ruling, the AAR has also discussed whether in case of related party or stock transfer, it would make any difference. And they have sought or relied upon the declaration of the taxpayer that the dealers are not related persons. So in this context also, I was not very sure of how this would be of relevance. Even if they were related person, the concept would be same. But yes, they have said that advance ruling would not apply in case the dealer is a related person. Sorry. Moving on to another ruling of AAR. Actually, a bit, I'll say, incorrect ruling. They have said when you are determining the time limit of availing ITC, you see when it uses the word September or annual return of the financial year to which such invoice or debit note pertains. So they have said it would mean that it would when the supply is made and not the document. So in that context, why it is tricky is because if you see even now the amendment which has been made for debit note, it is clearly stating or it is clearly reflective of the fact that they are considering document date and not the supply date. Also, this would be relevant for cases wherein, let us say, in case of reverse charge transaction, there is a delayed levy or delayed payment of tax. So let us say for reverse charge, the levy was in year one, but you are making payment in year four. If you see the relevant date of document as the invoice or self-invoice, then the credit can be availed in year four. But if you apply for adopt this advance ruling, then credit cannot be available. So in our view, this advance ruling is incorrect because it misses the point that you have to see the document date and not the supply date. Moving forward on next advance rulings, this deals with ITC on medical expenses, medical insurance services. The peculiar fact in this case was that it was the SECI was claiming ITC for medical insurance, which was taken during the period when medical insurance was mandated by NHA. So during COVID period, initially what happened was there was a brief period wherein MHA mandated that you have to claim insurance for your employees. And for this period, insurance claimed that SECI had requested for ITC eligibility. Unfortunately, what the advance ruling noted or discussed is the provision that because he's neither a supplier of healthcare services, not a part of a composite output supply, therefore ITC would not be available. However, they did not discuss the provision which says an exception to this provision, which says that if it is mandated by law, ITC should be available. So in our view, because that provision was not considered, and applying that provision, ITC should actually be available on medical services for the period where it was mandated by MHA. Ruling from this ITC rulings to the ruling on classification, advanced ruling which was pronounced. In this particular case, the SECI was requesting classification of driver cab air conditioning unit, and which was designed solely as per specification of railways, was meant solely for use in railways, and the department held that they will be classifiable as parts in tramways, locomotive, and running stock. And the difference in this is that the GST rate on AC and this is different. And again, the dispute, I'll say, keeps continuing whether the group classification theory, which was brought in by Westinghouse, subsequently distinguished by circular, whether that would apply, or a specific coverage of air conditioner unit that would apply. So this dispute, I'll say, multiple advanced ruling, multiple court rulings have come on this respect, and it is expected that the dispute would continue in some time more. So, thank you everyone. Thank you for giving us this opportunity. Thank you for your time.